All right, today we're tackling a big one, David Deya's The Way of the Superior Man. This book came out way back in '97, but man, it's still sparking some serious conversations. It's basically a guide to masculinity, finding your purpose, and of course, how that all plays out in relationships. So, let's start with the central question Dita is really trying to answer. Why is it that so many modern relationships seem to lose their passion? You can have love, you can have respect, but that spark, that raw energy, it just fizzles out. His whole book is basically a deep dive into why that happens and what, if anything, we can do about it.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at what Data calls the modern relationship dilemma. Then, we'll get into his big idea, sexual polarity, what that even means. And finally, we'll cover his three main solutions, making your purpose a priority, the whole art of intimacy, and what it means to live your deepest truth.
All right, first up, the modern relationship dilemma. Dita argues that a huge cultural shift has created a real challenge for intimacy today. He sees it as a sort of evolution happening in stages. So Data basically maps out this journey. He calls the old way stage one. The rigid roles of the macho jerk and the submissive housewife. Then came stage two, which really kicked off with the social movements of the 60s. The goal was a 50-50 balance. Men were told to get in touch with their feelings, and women were encouraged to be more assertive and independent. And the result of all that? Well, partners just became a lot more similar. And here's where Dita makes his core point. He's not saying equality is bad, not at all. He thinks it's a huge step forward for society. But he argues it had this unintended side effect in the bedroom. He calls it sexual neutrality. The idea is that when partners become too alike, that energetic charge between them just kind of dies down, and a fiery romance can start to feel more like a really good friendship. So, if being too similar is the problem, what's the solution? According to Dieta, it's all about consciously creating difference, an energetic difference. And that brings us to his most important concept, sexual polarity. Now, it's super important to understand he's not talking about gender or social roles here. He's talking about energy. Think of a battery or a magnet. You need a positive and a negative pole, a north and a south, to create a current or a magnetic field, right? Data says passion in a relationship works the exact same way. You need a masculine and a feminine pole to create that arc of attraction, that energy that fuels desire. And this slide breaks down those two core energies. The masculine core, and again, this can be in any person, regardless of gender, is all about mission, purpose, and freedom. Its drive is to achieve, to break through barriers. Think of it like the drive to win a game. On the flip side, the feminine core is all about the flow of love and connection. Its drive is to be filled with love, to flow in relationships. It's more like the energy of an incredible dance or a flowing river. Now, Data's not saying you're 100% one or the other. We all have both energies in us. But he suggests that for most of us, about 90% of people, he estimates, our natural core leans more one way. And for him, figuring out which one is your natural home base and then really living from that place, well, that's the absolute key to unlocking both passion and a deeper sense of fulfillment. Okay, so let's start with the masculine core. Data's first pillar for anyone with that essence is all about discovering and, most importantly, living their deepest purpose. All right, here's the big one, and it's definitely one of Daya's most controversial points. He says, flat out, your purpose must come before your relationship. Now, his reasoning is that if a man, or anyone with a masculine core, makes the relationship their number one purpose, they lose their direction. He thinks it not only weakens them, but it actually ends up cheating their partner of the strong, grounded person they were attracted to in the first place. So, how do you find and live this purpose? He gives some really practical advice. First, stop waiting. You know that feeling of, I'll do it when X, Y, and Z are perfect. Forget that. Live your gift now. Second, and this is a big one, live as if your father were dead. This is a metaphor, of course. It means stop trying to please or rebel against some external authority and find your own internal compass. And third, you have to constantly lean just beyond your edge. Push your comfort zone and face your fears. That's where the growth is. Okay, so once that purpose is your foundation, your solid ground, then Data turns to how you show up in your relationship. And it's all about leading with integrity. And this leads to another one of his lines that really gets people talking. Never change your mind just to please a woman. Right away, that sounds kind of harsh, but it's not about being a stubborn jerk.
It's about something much deeper: authenticity.
The real principle here is self-trust. Data's point is that a man should absolutely listen to his partner, hear her, feel her, take it all in, but when it comes time to act, he has to act from his own deepest wisdom. If you go against your gut just to avoid a fight or to please her in the moment, he says you're not just weakening yourself, you're actually eroding her trust in you. She might not even realize it, but she'll feel that lack of a solid core.
Okay, so all of this, the purpose, the polarity, the integrity, it all comes together in Data's final vision. It's about living your deepest truth and what he calls the path of the superior man.
He basically presents this as a third option, a path of evolution. He says it is time to evolve beyond the macho jerk, all spine and no heart. You know that guy. It is also time to evolve beyond the sensitive and caring wimp, all heart and no spine. And we know that guy too. Dida says we need to move past both of those.
The goal, the superior man, in his terms, is the man who unites both. He has the spine, that strong, purposeful direction, but he also has the heart, a deep, open, and fearless capacity for love. It's about being fully present, totally solid in your purpose, but also completely open to giving and receiving love without fear. And that's our look at the way of the superior man. You can see it's about so much more than just dating advice. At its core, it's a book about living a life of deep purpose. And it really leaves you with one final, penetrating question to ask yourself. What is the deepest gift you were born to give?